Yo, what's going on, guys? I am back. I am finally not done with Starfield, but I am taking it slower now. Finally, I have played enough of the game, and I kind of want to get back into my old routine of things, like including making videos. I wanted to make this video based on the structure decks that are coming out in the future. The first one that I'm going to be covering here is going to be the Fire King structure deck. We're not going to get this for quite a little bit more time, but the cards are really, really cool. I know there's a lot of nostalgia for a lot of people with Fire Kings because the original Fire King structure deck was super, super dope. But yeah, I plan on making another video with the Jack Atlas Crimson Dragon stuff too, because I think those cards are also pretty solid. But the Fire King cards are like way more obviously good than those cards. These are super, super cool, and I want to show off a one-card combo that I saw an OCG deck playing, and I don't think a lot of people saw the one-card line with it, and it's really interesting, and I just wanted to like show it to TCG players who might not have seen it just by looking at the deck list. So before I actually go into the combo, though, I want to show you guys the Fire King cards themselves, just to give you guys an idea of what is coming for the Fire King structure deck here eventually. And yeah, so let's just jump right into it. Oh, and by the way, subscribe. Okay, let's go to it. Okay, so this is the new Fire King cards, like I said. This is just a really standard, like, I took the OCG deck list and kind of made it into a TCG variant. This is probably going to be nowhere near what it's going to look like when this deck eventually comes to the TCG, so take this actual deck list with a grain of salt. But yeah, so the actual cards themselves individually, this first one, I think is the best one, is the Legendary Fire King Ponyx. So just reading over it real quick. If your monster that was originally fire is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. So you can come out if something is popped, of course. If this card is normal or special, add a Fire King Spiral Trap for your deck to your hand. That is super, super strong. During your next standby phase, after this card was destroyed and sent to the graveyard, add this card from your graveyard to your hand. You can only use each effect once per turn. So it adds itself back, searches, and can special itself. Those are three super good effects. Now, as you know, playing Fire Kings, the Fire King deck can also destroy on your opponent's turn, thus meaning you can summon this on your opponent's turn and your turn, and it gets itself back at the end of every end phase. So you are like constantly adding this back, specialing it, searching, adding it back, special search, etc., for value over time. Next card is the Fire King Avatar Human. This is a like more okay card, but is definitely still solid as a 1-of in my opinion. If face-up Fire King monster you control is destroyed by a card effect, special summon this card from your hand, just like Balrog. When a spell trap card or effect is activated while it's on the field, quick effect negates the activation, and if you do, destroy one other fire monster in your hand or face-up field, and you can only use each effect once per turn. This is pretty much the spell and trap version of the elephant that we got before without the last effect, though. The last effect of the elephant is super good. That is why there's a 3-of in here. This card does not have that. But yeah, so still really solid. Having spell trap negate is really important. And just like a nice versatile option to have. So even if like maybe you're in an unfavorable matchup, every deck has to play either spells or monsters or traps. So you have like negates all around for stuff like that. Next up. This is the Sinful Spoils. Some of these cards do come out in the next set, which is Age of Overlord. I've made a video on that before, and this is the like generic fire one to get to the Legendary Fire King Phoenix. So this is not a Fire King card that's going to be in the structure deck. This is going to be in a core set, and most likely going to be a very sought after card. Just something to keep in mind. Next up, the new Kieran. We already have Fire King Kieran. It is not great, but the upgraded version is way, way better. During the main phase, if this card is in your hand, quick effect, you can destroy one other fire monster in your hand or face-up field. And if you do, special summon this card. Wow, quick effect destruction to summon itself. That is super solid. If this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, special summon one Fire King monster from your hand or graveyard. Then you can destroy one card on the field. That is also insane. So you can just, if this card is destroyed in your opponent's turn or in your turn to break boards, it can also be an extender to special summoning back and pop something, not just something you control, destroy anything on the field. So this can also destroy something your opponent controls. This card is probably one of the stronger ones in here. I mean, they're all strong, like they're all good. I can't lie. I keep saying like they're strongest, but this is why I was saying it's a little bit better than the structure deck we're getting currently, what I believe this week, the Jack Atlas structure deck, because I feel like all these cards are so much more obviously stronger than those ones and have like such more obvious synergies. But I'm not saying those Jack Atlas ones are bad, like I said, but power level wise, I feel like these are just higher. Sacred Fire King Garunix. So we have an upgraded Garunix as well. I know we're not playing the old Garunix. It's just too slow in my opinion. You might be able to, you can probably get one in here if you wanted to, but again, the card's just really slow. Having to wait till the next turn is always Sadly, like waiting a turn in Yu-Gi-Oh is like an eternity. Might as well be 5 turns in other card games. If your monster that was originally fire is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon this card from your graveyard. If it was there when the monster was destroyed, or hand, even if not. So when this is worded in that way, that is usually referencing to something like, what is the Altergeist trap card that searches Multi-Faker? I'm completely blanking on the name, but if you flip it and you search Multi-Faker, you can activate the Faker. It's the same thing, where if you, I believe, I could be wrong on this, but I am fairly certain if you use something like Fire King Island, destroy a monster and then search this, because it says if it was there on the field destroyed, or hand, even if not. So when it says in hand, even if not, that means you can search it at the resolution. You can still reveal it even if it was not in the hand to see the card get destroyed, if that makes sense. So it's the same thing as Faker and the other trap card. But yeah, just something to keep in mind. If this card is normal or special summon, you can destroy one fire beast warrior, or wing beast monster from your hand, deck, or field, except itself. And if you do, this card gains attack equal to half to destroy monster's attack it had there until the end of this turn, and you can only use each effect once. Destroying from the main deck is crazy. There's not a lot of cards that can do that. So when this card is just generically for the archetype being able to do it, that is super, super good. And there is, keep in mind, out of everything that I've talked about so far, all these new cards, there has been 0 restrictions for anything. None of these cards have restrictions, and I feel like that is something that is not talked about a lot when new cards come out, that you are not restricted in any means. So you have a lot of leeway into what you can do with these, and I'm sure more stuff is going to be figured out as time comes on, but again, this is just a very standard beginning list. Sanctuary of the Fire Kings. When this card is activated, you can place one Fire King Island from your deck to your face-up field zone. Once per turn, if a card in your field will be destroyed by a card effect, you can destroy one fire monster in your hand or field instead. Once per turn, if your opponent special summons a monster, you can immediately after this effect resolves exceed summon one fire exceed monster using only Fire King monsters you control as material. Yeah, overlaying for your opponents during your opponent's turn is pretty solid, and you're probably wondering what Fire Exceed monster you're going to be overlaying into. Well, I have it right here for you. Is 2 level 8 fires, Garunix Eternity Hyang of the Fire Kings. The Yin Yang, I am so bad with punctuation, like I said. If this card is Exceed Summon, you can destroy all other monsters on the field. Nice first effect to be able to do on your opponent's turn with the continuous spell, just saying. You can detach one material from this card, then target one support trap card in the field, destroy it, and if you do, this card gains 500 attacks. So the first effect destroys all monsters, then the second effect can destroy a spell or trap. If this card is destroyed while it has material, you can special summon Fire King monsters from your graveyard up to the number of materials it had. That's crazy. So you can summon it with 2 materials, and then it gets destroyed with one of your million Fire King effects, like thus of Fire King Island, for instance. You can bring back 2 more guys to then, get more triggers off, like this guy to be able to search spell or trap, or this guy to pop something else in deck. Like, there's just so many moving parts to this deck, and it amounts to a lot. Just for other things that are in this deck right now, T-Fon, I think this card's going to be a staple in a lot of decks moving forward. Releases an Age of Overlord, like I said. And then SP Little Knight, again, a Age of Overlord card that I think is going to be a staple in a lot of decks. I went over these cards in my Age of Overlord video. Check that out if you want to see them and what I really think about these cards. But, and one more card, of course. Fire King Sacred Emulation. Almost missed this being the last card in there. Target the same number of Fire King monsters you control and cards your opponent controls, destroy them. If a Fire King cards you control would be destroyed by card effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard instead. So this is pretty much just a nice pop you can search in the deck, just as an interruption in the set. This is nothing too fancy, but is something that's definitely worth noting. I believe there's one more card in the starter deck. Yeah, this trap card that I am not playing. But I'll go over it just so that you know it exists, but this is also going to be in the structure deck. Special summon one Fire Beast Warrior, and one Fire Wing Beast, one from your each hand, deck, and graveyard. But their effects are negated, and they're destroy them during the end phase. So if you destroy these during the end phase, their graveyard effects will trigger. So if it's a Fire King monster, they will activate even if they're negated on the field. You can banish this card from your graveyard. This turn, your opponent can activate cards or effects when your Fire King monster is no more special summon. So this is really good for stuff like Garunix, the original Garunix, this one, the Eternity Garunix to be able to blow up everything on the field. So yeah, just like the second effect of this is what it's like. Your opponent can't respond to these types of things. But first effect's pretty solid. Again, we're just playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Chops are slow, etc., etc. So as you can see, this is like a very big thing with Beast Warrior, Wing Beast, and Beast Monsters. So because of this, we have natural Tri-Brigade interactions here that we can play with. So now that I've shown you what the cards are, I want to show you the one card combo. Okay, guys, so this is going to be the one card Fire King combo, like I was saying. You were probably thinking it was going to be the level 1 chicken for the full combo, or the spell maybe. No, it is actually Nadir Servant. This card is wacko in this deck. So as you saw, the Fire King deck did not get a lot of extra deck cards. This deck is completely functionable without having to go in the extra deck. Of course, you can do stuff while going in the extra deck, like SP Little Knight, IP Masquerena, things like that, but you don't have to, so that makes this deck very versatile on what it can do and the options that it can play, and Nadir Servant being one of them. Now, let me just show you what this deck can do. Very, very strong. So we're going to go Nadir Servant, of course, and we are going to dump our Rimbrum, and then we are going to search our Maximus. We are now going to trigger the Rimbrum so that we can search our Tri-Brigade Revolt. This is a very good card to have on the crackback, and we can put back the Ash Blossom. So again, I'm just using X cards like hand traps for other stuff. Next, we can special summon Maximus by banishing the Rimbrum. And you can use the Maximus to send 2 different extra deck cards to the graveyard. So we are going to be sending the Omen, and then you can send really anything you want here. I'm just going to be sending Skull Knight. I just think that's an easy option for myself, but something to keep in mind. Because you have the Rimbrum now banished, you can actually use the Omen to be able to search any Wing Beast, Beast, or Beast Warrior from your deck to your hand with 1 or lower level. And then you also have the Skull Knight in here. Something to keep in mind is that this can pop your own things. So you can use this to trigger your Fire King cards as well. Again, something to keep in mind. These cards are very versatile. So now we are able to use the Omen, like I was saying, to be able to add our Chicken. So now that we are here, we are able to normal summon our chicken and use the effect to add a Fire King spell or trap from our deck to our hand. And we are going to add the continuous spell. And then we can activate the continuous spell to be able to put a Fire King island from our deck into our field zone. So as you can see, we are getting a lot here for not a lot of commitment, right? Like Nadir Servant was already a crazy card, and now we're just getting a lot of free cards now, a lot of free cards. So now that we're here, we are able to use the Fire King Island to be able to pop our chicken, and then we can search for a Fire King from our deck to our hand. Okay, so we are able to summon the Garunix here and then trigger the effect, and we are going to destroy a Balrog from our deck. So this is going to give us a search in the next end phase. Or the next standby phase, I'm sorry, the next standby phase. Pretty much we are able to set the Tri-Brigade Revolt here, and then we are able to go to the end phase. So on the next standby phase, you are able to add back the baby chicken and search the High Avatar King with the Balrog. And then during your opponent's main phase, because this is only a main phase effect, sometime during the turn throughout their plays, you are able to use the High King Avatar to be able to destroy the either baby chicken again or something else you might have to special summon itself out. So now that you were able to summon the Kieran on your opponent's turn, you have this locked and loaded for the next standby phase. And then you are able to, when your opponent special summons a monster, you can immediately overlay the 2 to go into the Garunix. And then on summon, the Garunix can destroy all their monsters on the field. So you have a board wipe with that. And then if the Garunix is outed, the Garunix is able to bring back some of the Fire King monsters from your graveyard. Or if you don't even want to do that, you won't even have to, you can bring back itself as well. You can use the Tri-Brigade Revolt to be able to summon back monsters to threaten a Omen on your opponent's turn as well. So you have a lot of options and variables from here. This combo could definitely be moved around, a lot of moving pieces depending on what else you have. This is just strictly Nadir Servant by itself, pretty much give you access to the full Fire King engine. So you have like a lot of variations here and stuff that you can do. But I think this is something that is super, super strong for the Fire King deck. And like I said, giving yourself access to your entire engine for just a non-engine card, I think is wild to me. And with very, very little to no restriction as well. So this is just something to keep in mind, right? But overall, I hope you guys enjoyed this little video. This is just a small taste of what I think the new Fire King cards can do. And this, again, this was something that I took from a deck list I saw in the OCG do well. I just kind of integrated it here and just kind of went with it. I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I figured I would show you guys some nice little things with it. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed and learned something. Again, this is just a little taste of the Fire King archetype is going to be able to do with the new structure deck and support. And yeah, so again, I hope you guys enjoyed. Please subscribe if you did. And I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.